So, my piece of paper so I don't forget what we're doing. So, you've got your mat out, hopefully. Hopefully you're going to join in with me. Okay, so you've got your mat. I've got a towel as well, just to support my head. That's all you'll need today. Okay, most people find it's a bit more comfy if they've got something under their head. Put your head in a better position. So everything is going to be on the mat this morning. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves up in a nice position to exercise from. So if you remember yesterday, I was talking about not sort of doing wild movements. I was doing that with the arms, wasn't I, trying to demonstrate that to you. And I was talking about keeping the body stable and still so that we really get a good sense of how much movement we have through the joints and how supple we are already. So we're going to do the same thing again today. We're going to come down to the mat and I'm going to show you how to position yourself so that your body stays nice and still and stable. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I've almost forgot. I've just remembered. Yesterday as well, we did the scale of suppleness, didn't we? So I hope you did that with me. If you were here yesterday, I hope you did that. If you're just hopping on for the first time today live, you may not have heard me mention the scale of suppleness yet. So just a quick recap, because I want you to do it again today, okay? We've got our scale of suppleness to help us measure how supple we are feeling this morning, okay? So we've got a scale from 1 to 10. 1 on the scale is you saying to yourself, I feel as stiff as a board. And 10 on the scale is you saying to yourself, I feel so flexible and supple in my body. Everything moves really easily. Okay, and you've got to find where you are or how you feel on that scale. You might be slapped down the middle. You might be a number 5. Okay, you might be a number 2. You might be right at the top at number 8 or 9. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you are on that scale. If you're lower down on the scale, then maybe you're looking at to improve your suppleness and make everything feel easier to move. If you're higher up on the scale, for you it's probably more about maintaining that suppleness so that you can keep that free and easy movement in your body. So wherever you are on the scale, all these exercises are going to be beneficial for you. So yesterday I told you to write it down, didn't I? So hopefully you've got your piece of paper again. So I want you to write it down again. So just try and get a sense of where you are on that scale. How do you feel this morning? How stiff do you feel? You should know roughly what your body feels like on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so hopefully you can give yourself a score from 1 to 10. I want you to write it down. So put Wednesday on today, and then put before our session, give it a number, and then we'll do it again at the end. So you'll have it after the session. You'll have a number for that as well. Okay. Write it down. I would really suggest you write it down because it's good to see how we felt at the end of the week compared to the beginning. And sometimes if we don't write it down, we just forget. I know I do. If I don't write it down now, I just can't remember what I felt like at the beginning of the week. Okay, so write it down. We'll do it again at the end. I won't forget at the end. So let's get started, shall we? I know I did run over quite a bit yesterday. I'm going to try and keep it a bit shorter today for you. We're going to come down to the mat and we're going to set ourselves up. We're going to make sure that we're nice and stable and still on the mat to do our exercises. Okay, so you've got your towel. We're going to lie on our back. Okay, so we're going to come down. And then we're going to set ourselves up in this position. Okay, so we've got the knees and the feet apart. Hang on, just bear with me. I've got my other little screen here, and it's blocking my view. I can't see anything, so I'm going to bring that down by the side of me, so it's out of the way a bit. Okay, that's better. Okay then. So we're lying on the mat. My knees are bent. The feet are flat, and I've got my feet and my knees about hip width apart. Okay. Now, we want to find that stillness in the body and that stability, okay? So we need to position ourselves in a certain way. So this is, when I'm teaching, I call this finding your neutral position, okay? And it's all about the position of the pelvis and how we're lying on the mat. So what we're going to do, you're going to do a diamond shape with your hands, okay? And you're going to put your hands on your tummy, okay? And you're going to imagine now that you've got a Malteser sitting in the middle of your diamond, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to roll the Malteser backwards and forwards. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to roll your oh, I can't get my words out, your Malteser to your thumbs, okay? So as you roll oh, it's gone again, Malteser, roll your Malteser to your thumbs, you will feel the lower back starting to flatten into the mat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roll the Malteser towards the fingers. And as you do that, you will feel your lower back arching. Now, if you remember yesterday, when we're doing this type of exercise in standing, I said don't force the movement. And the same applies now. You don't want to force the spine, your lower back, into any positions. You want it to be nice and gentle. So it's a nice, gentle flattening of the lower back into the mat. And we're just going to lift the lower back out of the mat a little bit, just arching a little bit. If you can get your hand all the way through easily, then that's far enough, okay? And then back again. And this is a nice little exercise just on its own, just to loosen up the spine a little bit, loosen up that lower back. So we're rolling this Malteser backwards and forwards. So what we need to do now is we need to bring our Malteser back to the center of our diamond. So it's sitting nicely in the center there. And hopefully now we should have finished with just a very slight curve under the waist there. So we're going to do a little test. So without moving your back, without moving your spine, you're going to get your hand. And I want you to slip it under your waist. And ideally, it should just be tops of the fingers that will go under. If the whole hand goes through really easily, you're still a little bit too arched. You just need to flatten your lower back just a little more into the mat nice and gently. Okay? That's your neutral position. That's the position we want to stay in this morning while we're doing these exercises. So being in this position helps us to keep the lower back nicely supported. The body is still, so the pelvis and the trunk is nice and still while we are working the arms and legs. So again, it gives us a good indication of how much suppleness we have in our joints as well. Okay. So we're going to stay nice and still through the body. We'll do our first exercise, shall we? We're going to start with the shoulders again, okay, and then we'll work our way down the body like we did yesterday. So we're going to start with the arms up to the ceiling, okay, and we're just going to do some nice gentle warm-ups, I suppose, for the shoulders, you could call these. So I'm just going to take my arms back just a little bit, and then I'm just going to circle them round and then bring them back to my starting position. And then I'm going to send the arms back again and then circle them round. So I'm just making some nice, small circles. You can see I'm not making them too big, okay? I want to warm up the joint a little bit first before I increase that range of movements. So nice and steady, nice small circles. Okay, let's just do one more. And then we'll bring our arms back to that starting position. Now, let's do a different one. So we'll make the arm movements bigger this time. This is called scissor arms. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one arm down to the floor. The other arm is going to go overhead. Okay, so as you reach back with that arm, reach back as far as you can, but without forcing it. And then we'll bring the arms back up to the top. Now you're going to switch your arms over. So the other arm goes over the top this time. Okay, so again, you take it back as far as you can. And we'll just do a few more of those, shall we? So if your arm only wants to go to about here and it can't go all the way to the floor, then that's fine. Don't force it back any further than that. Remember, you want to work within your own range of movement to start with, okay? So if you've got any restrictions in the shoulder, don't force it, okay? You'll get more movement through that shoulder over time the more you practice your exercises, okay? So just work within your own range of movement. Now, whenever we send the arms overhead, we have to think about that neutral position, you know, that setup that we've just done. So I just want you to be aware now of your position, that we set up. Okay, so are you still in neutral? Have you still got that little curve in your lower back, or do you feel like you're starting to arch the back a little bit more? If you are, just see if you can correct it. Just flatten the back a little bit more into the mat. Okay, and then you know you're fully supported in your lower back now. Wonderful. Should we lower those arms down in a second? Wonderful. So that's a nice warm-up for the shoulders. Let's come on to the hips. Okay. So a warm-up for the hips this time. Okay. This exercise is called scissor legs. Okay. So we're going to work through the hip joint. So we're going to keep the knee fixed. No movement through the knee on this one. We want to be in that neutral position. So we've got no movement anywhere else. Doesn't matter which leg you start with. I'm going to start with my left leg though. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to float my knee up so that my knee finishes roughly sitting over my hip. And then I'm going to lower the foot back down. And I do it on the other side. So I'm going to float the knee up. And then I'm going to float it back down again. And that's what we're going to do. So you join in. Have a little go. And you can see, like yesterday on some of the exercises we were doing, it's nice and steady. It's nice and controlled, because that's what we want. Okay, nice controlled movements. Okay, staying neutral the whole time. So don't let your back arch, particularly as you lower the foot now, make sure that you don't move through the center of the body. Okay, I've got no movement through the knee either. Okay, can you see I'm trying not to? I'm trying not to move that knee. I'm not straightening the leg. I'm not bending it anymore. I'm trying to keep it in the same position the whole time. Okay, wonderful. Let's just do one more. Okay, so this is a nice one just to warm up the hips a little bit. Okay, because now we're going to lengthen out the legs. We're going to open out the hips a little bit more, okay? So just check after we've done that one that your feet and your knees are still roughly hip width apart, okay? So this is our one leg stretch. And on this one, we're taking the leg out. So we need to just be aware of what's happening in the center of the body again. So try and keep that stillness through the center of the body again. Start on either leg. We're going to slide the leg away. And as you slide it away, you're going to keep that foot on the mat. You're going to lengthen out the leg. That helps us to open out the front of the hip there. This area of the hip can get quite tight because we spend an awful lot of time sitting, don't we? So driving, watching the telly at night, sitting at the computer. Whenever we're in a sitting position, we're shortening the muscles in the front of the hip here, and that in turn can affect our lower backs. The muscles can tighten so much, it pulls on our lower back, and that's when we start having problems with our back. So this is a nice, simple way of lengthening out the legs and just opening out the front of the hip. Just opening it out there. Feels quite nice. Nice straight legs as you take them out. Straighten as fully as you can. And then you get more of an opening through the front of the hip. Okay, I'm going to do one more on the other side, and I'll know I've done the same with both legs. Okay, and slide your feet back in. Let's finish with them hip width apart again. Now, it's really good when you put arms and legs together, because then we can have a nice stretch all the way through the whole length of the body. So that's what we're going to do this time. We're going to do those legs that we've just done. We're going to do those again. And we're going to add in our scissor arms. Now, we're going to be working opposite arm to leg. So let me show you. As I straighten out one leg, I'm going to send the other arm overhead. Okay, and my other arm comes down onto the mat. Okay, so you can see I've reached out opposite arm to leg, and then we come back to our starting position. So this one is also challenging your coordination as well. Okay, so you have to think a bit more about this one. Also, because arms and legs are going out, we need to just be mindful of what's going on through the center of the body. It's quite easy to arch the back. Can you see? I don't know if you can see, but I've got this big space now under my waist. We don't want that to happen, because then we've got no support through the center of the body. Okay, so when you lengthen and you open out the arm and leg, make sure you've still got a little curve, just enough to get the fingertips underneath, no more than that. Okay, shall we have a little go? So remember, it's opposite arm to leg. So here we go. We're going to slide one leg away. The opposite arm is going to go overhead. We're going to lengthen out through the body. Nice big stretch as we take the arm and leg out, and then we'll come back to our starting position. Then we switch sides. And the other arm and leg go out this time. And then we come back to our starting position. Off we go again. So just be mindful of what's going on through the center of the body. Remember, you want that stability to support your lower back. No movement at all. We want that stillness through the center of the body. And again, you can see it's nice, steady movements, nice and slow, nice and controlled. And I always like to make my movements as precise as I possibly can. So I'm always aware of how I bring my feet back in, where my arms finish when I come back to that starting position again. Okay, shall we just do one more? And then we'll come back to our starting position. Wonderful. I'm going to give you a little release. It's a little stretch for the lower back, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to hug the knees to the chest. So we'll bring the knees in one at a time. Now, I always put my hand here on top of the knee. If you find it easy to put the hand there, then that's okay. We're going to hug both knees in, and we're going to hug them into the chest. And the closer you pull them in, the more of a stretch you will get through your hips, through your bum, and into your lower back. It feels quite nice, especially if you get a little bit of tightness in the lower back. It's a nice stretch to do. And we could just hold it there, just for a few more seconds. And then we can release. And then we can bring those feet back down. Okay, I'm just going to have a little look and make sure I haven't missed anything. I haven't. Okay, so we've done arms. We've done a bit for the hips. We haven't done anything yet for sort of the center of the body, the lower back, and any stretching for that sort of area. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to do a little exercise. We're going to do another one for the hips first, and then we're going to look at opening out the lower, sort of side of the body around the waist area. We're going to do a nice little stretch for that, okay? So we're going to come back down onto the mat, same position again. Okay, now this exercise that we're going to do now will give you another indication of how much suppleness you have through your hips. So I'm just going to make sure I'm doing my Malteser rolls again. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that I'm back in that neutral position. Feet and knees are still hip width. I think what we'll do for this one is we'll take 2 fingers and we'll put them on the hip bones at the front there, okay? Because we want to make sure we don't roll the pelvis from side to side on this one. We want to keep it nice and still because we want to get some idea of how much movement we have through the hips. So I'm going to keep my fingers there, and then I can gauge and I can see if there is any movement going on. So all set up, we're ready to go. So we're going to take one leg, or think about the knee, I think, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that knee out to the side. Okay, so we take the knee out to the side. We're going to take it out as far as we can without the pelvis moving. So the hip bones have got to stay completely still. And then we'll do it on the other side. So we're going to take the knee out as far as we can without the hips moving. Now, if you feel the hips sort of rolling, if I exaggerate a little bit, okay, you can see my hips are rolling. That's a bit of a cheat, really, because that's not really giving us a good idea of how much movement we have through the hips. Okay. I'm sorry, I just have a little tickle in my throat now. So we have to keep the hips nice and still. Okay, I'll do that one again. So keep the pelvis still. We take the knee out. So it doesn't matter how far that knee will go out. Okay, if it only goes a little way, then that's fine. I would rather you try and keep the pelvis nice and still. Remember, we want that stability through the hips because we want some control in our movements. Okay, we don't, like I said yesterday, I showed you the arm movements, didn't I? We don't want those wild arms swinging around. Same with this exercise as well. We want it to be nice and steady, nice and controlled, keeping that stillness through the pelvis. Okay, so it's requiring quite a bit of control here through those abdominals. Okay, but it's better to have that than try and force the leg out to the side. Okay, because gradually over time you'll get better. You'll become more aware of how to keep that pelvis still, and of course the leg will go out a little bit further over time as well. Okay, so I think we'll make that our last one, shall we? Let's take the arms out a little bit. So I've got my arms away from the side of the body now. I'm going to keep my feet and knees hip width apart. So this is a nice little stretch now. It sort of stretches you all the way down the side of the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to send both knees over to the side. It doesn't matter which way they go. We're just going to send them over. And the idea is that we just relax the legs over. We just let them fall out nice and slowly. It's controlled as we take them down. And then we just relax into this position. So I can feel the stretch now from sort of top of my hip, going up through my waist, all the way up the side of the body there. Okay? And you can keep looking up at the ceiling, okay, and just feel that nice stretch. So again, this is a nice one, particularly for the lower back into the waist. You might feel a little bit tighter there. And you could, if you're doing this on your own, you could stay here for as long as you wanted to. It's quite a relaxing position to be in. Okay, we're going to do the other side now. So we're going to bring the knees up. And then we're going to send them over to the other side. So we'll do the same again. We'll control the legs as they go over to the side. We'll just let them fall out there. And then we'll just relax them as they go out. Still looking up at the ceiling. So again, getting that nice stretch down the side. You might find when you do this that you can feel that maybe one side feels a little bit tighter than the other. I know that this side is my easier side. The other side was always a little bit tighter on me. Okay, so we can just relax into that position. Okay, it's a really nice one for lower back. This one. And then we'll bring the legs back up. And let's have a full body release this time. Okay, so we're going to stretch out the whole of the body. So we're going to lengthen out both legs. We're going to take the arms overhead and we're going to reach with the arms, reach with the legs. Get that nice stretch going all the way through the body. And then we can bring those arms back down. We can bend the knees. And then we're going to come back to sitting. So we're just going to roll to our side and push ourselves back up again. Wonderful. How was that? That was a bit of a shorter routine today, wasn't it? But it was a nice one to do. I find that's quite a relaxing routine to do as well, that one. Which is also important because our muscles respond better if we are nice and relaxed in our bodies as well, which is what we're going to be looking at a little bit more tomorrow. So just taking the time to be mindful of the movements, doing them nice and slow, nice and controlled, thinking about keeping that stillness through the center of the body as well. It helps switch off our mind as well, and that just helps us relax, and that will just help in that to create that feeling of suppleness, and it will help our muscles relax so we can, when we do our stretches, it will help to create more flexibility in those muscles. So the two are linked, the relaxation and the stretching. Both of them can help your suppleness get a little bit better. So that was our routine for today. So how do you feel now? I feel quite relaxed after doing that, actually, after that session. So a bit shorter session, but still some very good stretches in there and some exercises for you to have a little go at. So what I want you to do again today is, like we did yesterday, pick one or maybe two of the exercises that we've done just. The ones that felt really good. So maybe it was the stretch at the end where we sent the knees over. Maybe it was that one. Maybe it was the one where we stretched out the arms and the legs. Maybe it was that one. Whichever one it was, and there was a couple in there that you really liked and felt good, have another go at those a bit later on today. So this afternoon, or maybe just before you go to bed, have another little go at them. Because remember, the more you do it, the better you will be at being able to lengthen out those muscles. We can increase our flexibility better if we stay consistent with those exercises and can keep doing them on a regular basis, even if it's only for a few minutes each time. So now let's go back to our scale of suppleness. How do we feel? So just think now. Okay, you're giving yourself a score at the beginning of the session. How do you feel now? Now you might feel exactly the same. Okay, well that's okay if you do, because don't forget, trying to improve your flexibility does take a bit of time. It doesn't work straight away. Sometimes when you do these exercises, you do feel a sense of relaxation, and you feel like that the body's just more relaxed, and you feel more supple from that, and you feel like you can move a little bit better. Okay, so if you feel like that, you may just want to give yourself an extra little point to move yourself up the scale a little bit. But don't worry if you don't feel that much difference, because remember, it's over the long term. Flexibility isn't something isn't a quick fix. You can't sort of sort it out in a few days. It takes a little bit of time. Oh, there's my dog. He's barking now. Can you hear him? So it's something that we need to practice regularly, which is why I suggested that you do something again a little bit later on today. So maybe not today, but hopefully by the end of the week, maybe you've moved up a notch or two on the scale. Okay, once we put everything together. So give yourself a score, write it down on your piece of paper. So you've got your before score, what you gave yourself at the beginning of the session, and then your score after the session, what is it? See if there's an improvement from yesterday. So you might have given yourself a score yesterday before we started, it might have been a 4. You might be on a 6 now, which is fantastic, okay? So keep score, okay, and keep hold of that piece of paper, because we've got another session tomorrow, haven't we? We're back again tomorrow at 10:30. We're doing tension releaser on the mat tomorrow. So all of the tighter areas, the common tight areas that people have, we're going to be looking at. And also we're going to just be focusing. Just got one little exercise that I want to do with you that just focuses on a little bit of relaxation. So we're going to do that tomorrow as well. Plus I've got that big announcement about our new program that is opening tomorrow. So I'll tell you a bit more about that. I feel like I was going to say something else to you as well, and I've just gone out of my head. That's twice that's happened this morning, isn't it? I can't remember what it was. No, can't remember. If it comes back to me, I'll pop it in the group. Okay. So don't forget, we're back at 10:30 tomorrow. Do a couple of exercises a little bit later on. Keep your scale of suppleness. Okay. Keep that note handy so you know where you are. Oh, that's it. It's come back to me. Friday. It's the bonus session. We're doing a Zoom session on Friday, so I'm not going to be here in the group. It's an extra session for you. We're going to do a longer session. We're going to do an hour session. So a full routine, putting everything together that we have done this week, plus some extra little bits as well. So if you've enjoyed the workshop so far this week and you want to see what else you can do, then I will drop the link. I dropped it in yesterday. So you can find it there, but I'll drop the link in this video as well. So in the description above, I'll drop the link there as well. You will need to register for that event because I need to send you the Zoom link and all the details. So sign up for that if you want to join me Friday. It's 10:30, it's the same time, it's just on Zoom. Once you're registered, you'll get your invitation with the link sent out tomorrow, which is Thursday. So you'll get it the day before. I'll send it out on the afternoon, okay? So that's on Friday. And I always find when I do those Zoom sessions, that's when people really get the most out of doing the workshop. They've been doing little bits over the week, and it all seems to come together on that final day. Plus, you get to see me in person, although I say in person, it's in person on Zoom. But you also get the chance to ask me any questions that you might have about what we've been doing this week. But also, if you've got any questions about today's session or yesterday's and you're not quite sure of something, then you can always drop me a comment below and I'll happily get back to you a little bit later on and I'll answer those questions for you. Okay? So back at 10:30 tomorrow in the group, live on Zoom on Friday. So register if you want the details for that. Don't forget to keep score with your scale of suppleness. Keep that piece of paper handy and then try out one or two of the exercises again that we've done today. you may feel that yesterday's session was more beneficial, or you still want to do those exercises from yesterday that you enjoyed. Well, that's fine. Just add on an extra one or an extra two today, okay, and put them all together. Okay, the more you do it, the better the results you will see. I think that's it. I don't think I've got anything else to say. Oh, I'm a bit shorter today, just over the half an hour, about 40 minutes, so I'm a bit shorter today. I'll leave it there, okay? Have a little go at that. If you're just joining on now, or if you're watching the replay, try it out. Try it out today before tomorrow's session, because we're going to be back down on the mat again tomorrow. So it's basically building on what we've done today as well. So have a little go at that. Again, pick some of those exercises. I will see you again tomorrow. Don't forget, leave me any questions if you have any. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you again in the morning. Bye for now.